Do you have your little device with you, Zach? Okay, so maybe you could share with Narendra here, and because this is the wrong verse, it's actually text 10. It's not your fault. He told you text 9. So we're just going to chant text 10, because that's the actual verse. And if Ramapati Prabhu wants to share with Damodar Kumar. Hare Krishna. I don't think this is on, is it? It is? Is it loud enough? Let's see what it is. You want to hand him that thing? Ten. Tatra sasir me nanubartri samhita matri sasir klinadiyam cha mataram dakshe charikantamanama harshibir unniyamanam chamidadvaradvajam tatra sasir me nanubritya samhita matri sasir klinadiyam cha mataram dakshe charit kantamanama harshibir uniyamanam chamidadvaradvajam tatra sasir me nanubritya samhita matri sasir klinadiyam cha mataram Drakshe charit kantamanama harshibir uniyamanam chamidadvaradvajam Tatra, there. Swasihi, own sisters. Me, mine. Nanu, surely. Bhartri samhitaha, along with their husbands. Matri swarsihi, the sisters of my mother. Klinadiyam, affectionate. Cha, and. Mataram, mother. Dakshe, I shall see. Chira utkantamanaha, being very anxious for a long time. Maharishibihi, by great sages. Unniyamanam, being raised. Cha, and. Mrida, O Shiva. Advara, sacrifice. Dvajam, flags. Translation. My sisters, my mother's sisters, and their husbands, and other affectionate relatives must be assembled there. So if I go, I shall be able to see them, and I shall be able to see the flapping flags and the performance of the sacrifice by the great sages. For these reasons, my dear husband, I am very much anxious to go. Purport. As stated before, the tension between the father-in-law and son-in-law persisted for a considerable time. Sati, therefore, had not gone to her father's house for a long while. Thus she was very anxious to go to her father's house, particularly because on that occasion her sisters and their husbands and her mother's sisters would be there. As is natural for a woman, she wanted to dress equally to her other sisters and also be accompanied by her husband. She did not, of course, want to go alone. So I'll read one more. Tvayat tadat ashtrayam ajatmamayaya vanirmitim bhati gunatrayatmakam tatapyaham yoshida tattva vicchate dinadrikshe bhavame bhavicchatam tim. This manifested cosmos is a wonderful creation of the interaction of the three material modes, or the external energy of the Supreme Lord. This truth is fully known to you. Yet I am but a poor woman, and as you know, I am not conversant with the truth. Therefore, I wish to see my birthplace once more. Purport. Dakshayani Sati knew very well that her husband, Lord Shiva, was not very much interested in the glaring manifestation of the material world, which is caused by the interaction of the three modes of nature. Therefore she addressed her husband as Aja, which refers to one who has transcended the bondage of birth and death, or one who has realized his eternal position. She stated, the illusion of accepting the perverted reflection, the material or cosmic manifestation to be real is not present in you, because you are self-realized. For you, the attraction of social life and the consideration that someone is father, someone is mother, and someone is sister, which are our illusory relationships, is already over. But because I am a poor woman, I am not so advanced in transcendental realization. Therefore, naturally, these appear to me as real. Only less intelligent persons accept this perverted reflection of the spiritual world to be real. Those who are under the spell of the external energy accept this manifestation to be fact, whereas those who are advanced in spiritual realization know that it is illusion. Actual reality is elsewhere in the spiritual world. But as far as I am concerned, Sati said, I do not have much knowledge about self-realization. I am poor because I do not know the actual facts. I am attracted by my birthplace and I want to see it. One who has attraction for his birthplace, for his body, and for other such items mentioned in the Bhagavatam is considered to be like an ass or a cow. Sati might have heard all this many times from her husband, Lord Shiva, but because she was a woman, Yosit, she still hankered after the same material objects of affection. The word Yoshit means... It's interesting because the first time it says Yosit, and then the second time it's Yoshit. Does it say that on yours too? On both of them? Oh, this one is... Yeah. The word Yoshit means one who is enjoyed. Therefore, women is called Yoshit. In with spiritual advancement, association with Yoshit is always restricted, because if one is like a play doll in the hands of Yoshit, then all his spiritual advancement is at once stopped. It is said, those who are just like playthings in the hands of a woman, Yoshit Krida Mrigeshu, cannot make any advancement in spiritual realization. Mekaniti Vedandasya Gananjana Shalakaya Chakshular Meditamena Tasmai Shigurvedamaha Kam Kirtavajavam Pangam Yat Kripa Tamaham Vande Shigurun Diditarinam Vancha Kalpadribhascha Kripa Sindhubevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. I heard recently that that people from I don't know, it was London or something. They went to, at one point they went to Africa. You know, they were going to check out Africa. So some of them went there, and then they saw all types of different animals that they weren't used to. They saw giraffes, long, big giraffes eating from the trees, and then they saw hippopotamus, right? And they saw these different things, all these different animals, and they're thinking, "Oh, what is this?" And then they went back to tell the other people in London or Europe, wherever it was. They went to tell them, "Oh, we went there and we saw these, animals with the long necks, and then we saw a hippopotamus and different animals they weren't used to, right?" And the people in London, they couldn't believe it, They thought, "Oh, you guys are crazy. You must be really crazy. The sun must have got to you. There's a lot of sun over there, so you must have went crazy, because there's no animals like that here." Right, in London we have dogs, we have cats, we have chickens, we have pigs, but that's about it. There's no big giraffe and all these different. You must have went crazy. So sometimes it's difficult for people to, actually most of the times, it's difficult for people to accept something unless they have direct experience of it. It's very difficult. So similarly, in relation to being a theist, in relation to accepting the existence of God, in relation to having faith or conviction that God exists, generally speaking, for the most part, everybody has to have direct experience of that. Srila Prabhupada, he was walking, and he said he was walking with some of his disciples, and Prabhupada had faith and conviction in Krishna, right? So Prabhupada was walking, and then he turned to all the disciples, and he said, on a morning walk, he said, "I know you're all atheists." It means you don't believe in God. "I know you're all atheists, but Krishna does really exist." And then he just kept on walking. So, and Srila Prabhupada would make that point quite often. He would say that, he said, "If all of you had the same conviction that I did in Krishna consciousness, we could take over the world." And Prabhupada said something like, some short time, like 14 days or something like that. But then he said, "Oh, but what will you do with it?" You know what Prabhupada said? Huh? He said, "You'll simply sleep." So if Krishna gave the word, you'll simply sleep. Means, it could mean sleep, which, as we know, sleep, but it also could mean that not utilize it properly, make a mess out of it. So that conviction in terms of spreading Krishna consciousness is of the utmost importance. And in remaining in Krishna consciousness, that conviction is of the utmost importance. And ourselves just being devotees, that's of the utmost importance. And if we look within Bhagavad Gita, as His Holiness Devaridya Swami was bringing up the other day, he said that nowhere in Bhagavad Gita does Krishna say, "Oh, you believe in me." Right? He says, "You believe." But he says that you follow this, you follow the teachings of Bhagavad Gita, and you will have the experience, right? You'll have the experience of me, Krishna speaking. And in other words, you'll be able to perceive me, right? You have direct experience. And therefore, there's that verse in the Bhagavad Gita, susukam kartam avyam, that it's joyfully performed, and you could directly perceive the results. And also we have this verse, Ata Shri Krishna Nama Adi Nabhaved Garam Indre Sevan Mukhe Jivada Swayameva Spratada. By engaging the senses in the service of Krishna, specifically the tongue, in tasting food that's been offered to Krishna, that's an easy one, and chanting the holy name of Krishna, then what happens? What happens? You remember what happens? No, that's all right. No, Krishna reveals himself. Krishna reveals himself. So he gives direct perception of himself by engaging the tongue, by engaging our tongue in the service of Krishna. He reveals himself. Atashri Krishna namari nabhavet karmindriya sevan mukhe jivada swayamveva spiratada. So if we engage in the process then properly, then Krishna will reveal himself. So yeah, we want, so in order for people to accept the existence of God, they need that direct perception, and that goes for us as well. So in other words, we're really, for the most part, we're really, you could say, entrapped in our own conceptions of reality. Whatever conceptions we've developed over our life, or shall we say lifetimes, that is, we're a prisoner of those conceptions. So, and really, we remain a prisoner until we get the grace and the good wishes, and also the blessings, and specifically the education of devotees. We're just complete prisoner of those ideas. I remember I spent some time growing up in a place called El Cajon. It's here in SanDiego. It's about 30 minutes east. And somehow or other, it's been taken over for the most part by people from the Middle East. Interesting. A lot of what are they called? No, when they come, refugees. So, but before, years ago, wasn't so much like that, but now it's kind of like that. So, but anyways, that the translation of that not verse, the translation of that word El Cajon, it's a Spanish word. It means the box. So, if you have a big enough box, depending on what you have in the box, right? If it's a living entity, you can't get out. If you have a really big box, depending on the living entity, can't get out. What's a living entity that can't get out of a box? I don't know. What do you think? I'm trying to think of an animal. A slug? I don't know, maybe he can make his way up the box. A snake. If it's too high, he can't go out? Okay, I'll take your word for it. So a snake. So, like a living entity can't get out of the box. So similarly, that El Cajon, it's a bit of a box, That's how I always look at it. And you can't really get out unless somebody, or like a well, you have a well, you can think of a well. So if you get trapped into a well, you need someone with a rope to pull you out. So you can think of it, the box is like a big well. You need a rope to pull you out. So my point is that many of my old associates and friends, they're all the same, prisoners of their own misconceptions. Means material conceptions, right? Absolute prisoners, and in complete illusion. And what is that illusion? They're accepting as Prabhupada says here, they're accepting the perverted reflection, the material or cosmic manifestation, to be real. And yes, they have no interest in the real and in the reality of the spiritual world. And they're taking these illusory relationships, their wife and their kids and this and that and so many different things as all in all. So that's called a prisoner. But as I was saying earlier, that people, to get out of this prisoner state of existence, they need direct perception. They need direct perception of spiritual reality, of Krishna consciousness. They need a higher experience. So So our great challenge as members of the International Society of Krishna Consciousness is to be good examples of that higher experience. We have to display practically to people how one could be happy in Krishna consciousness, and how one could be ecstatic, and how one can be beyond this prisoner life. We have to display this. Now that's the challenge, because sometimes when we're trying to transfer from prisoner state of existence to liberated state of existence, the tendency is we actually like being a prisoner. We actually kind of enjoy it to some degree, right? Just like in ordinary jail systems, people, they do some heinous crime, they go to jail, they go to prison, and they get used to it. It's like, hey, man, it's kind of nice, whatever. I don't know. I can't exactly understand the psychology, but somehow or other they develop attraction to it. And once coming out and entering normal society, they get a job, blah blah blah. They try to function, and in a lot of cases, they'll actually do another heinous crime on purpose, just to go back to prison, because they like it so much. They actually enjoy it, whatever they could enjoy there. So similarly, when we as aspiring Vaishnavas, we're trying to transfer from prisoner life to liberated life, we actually, we actually kind of like it. Or some people, they actually kind of like it. They actually like being a prisoner, whatever enjoyment's there. So that's the challenge, to break off the shackles and not put them back on, not embrace the illusion again. And again, this illusion is all pretty much revolving around our temporary designations in this material world, right? I'm a man, I'm a woman, I'm young, I'm old, I'm this, I'm black, I'm white, I'm this, I'm that, I'm so many things. And my birthplace is worshipable, right? Everything's this deep seated attraction for this material world and everything about it. So that has to be given up. And specifically it says here, in most cases, for a man, unless he is, has homosexual tendencies, for a man, the illusion is a woman. In the sense that by getting close to a woman, a man falls into illusion. Getting close in the wrong way, a man falls into illusion, a deep illusion. And a man becomes like a plaything in the hands of a woman. And it says for such a man, they cannot make any advancement in spiritual realization. And why is that? Because a man who is too attached to a woman, he's too occupied. The mind is too occupied, and it becomes so henpecked or so controlled by her, and specifically by what she could give him. Therefore, he does all types of things, such as works very hard and 12 hours a day and this and that, and right. And she says, "Can you buy me this? Can you buy me that? Buy me a new whatever bracelet or a new ring, whatever it is." And in this way, his mind becomes completely absorbed, right, in her physical beauty, right, her attractiveness of her body, how her sweet voice, right, her comforting words, and children generally come, and now the cute little children, right? Everybody knows that how cute children are, right? As soon as a little child walks in the door, especially for women, generally speaking, Everybody can't control their minds. They just look at the child and, you know, ooh and ah and how cute, right? Even men. So in this way, one just completely falls down into forgetfulness of Krishna, of absolute forgetfulness of Krishna. Now, so that's pretty much the material world. That's what's happening. And similarly, for a woman in relation to a man, the same thing happens. So that's the challenge, not to fall into that. And for those of us who aren't in some type of relationship like that, or relationship, you know, for the brahmacharis, that is obviously their, you could say, good fortune. And for those who are involved in that type of relationship, then they just have to be extra careful, super careful in dealing with that. But even the brahmacharis, I mean, the brahmacharis, they also, you know, it's not that, you know, they have a mind, and the mind, you know, the general tendency of the mind likes to dwell on things, right? So the mind can dwell on sense gratification. And generally speaking, as people are trained up, growing up, trained up throughout their life, or shall I say, lack of training, there's no control. It's unrestricted. You know, growing up, young men, it's unrestricted. What they allow their minds to dwell on, it's unrestricted. It's just whatever you want. I mean, it doesn't matter. It could be anything. It could be everything. It's just like full freedom. You know. Just whatever your senses, whatever your mind demands, just meditate on it. Dwell on it. And generally speaking, of course, when men hit a particular age, and all of a sudden they notice, hey, look at all these women around. Look at all these girls, right? Very, very attractive. So the mind will dwell on that. Sense gratification, sex life. And as time goes on, I mean, men throughout their lives, actually. It doesn't end there. It just goes on, dwelling. And similarly, women, dwelling. So the tendency of the mind is to dwell. We can't get around it. That's just what the mind does. It dwells on things, it meditates on things, it thinks about things. So for the brahmacharis, and for everybody, they have to be careful not to let the mind dwell, not to let the mind wander, not to let the mind become fixed on sense gratification. And that's a challenge. It's a challenge. And if you don't think it's a challenge, if some are thinking, oh, what is he talking about? It doesn't seem like a challenge. Just give it some time and you'll see it will be a challenge. Just give it a few years, you'll see it'll be a challenge. So that's the challenge, the mind dwelling on it, and also us just being attracted to it. So just as a dog is attracted to dog food, or just as an artist is attracted to painting, right? It's like uncontrollable attractive force. You can't stop it. Or just as a video game addict is completely addicted or attracted to video games, similarly, built within everyone in this material world is that attraction. And like I said here, it's that sexual attraction is built within everybody. So, therefore, Vedic civilization is saying it has to be controlled, it has to be checked, and aside from that, it has to be transcended. One has to develop a higher taste. One has to develop a higher attraction. And that is possible by getting the spiritual master, getting Krishna's mercy. Now, some people may say, hey, I'm doing everything to get Krishna's mercy. You know, where's the mercy? And another thing, some mystic or great thinkers, they brought up, devotees, they brought up is that Krishna actually hates pride more than he hates lust. So in other words, Krishna may not remove certain, it could be lust or whatever. Krishna may not remove certain anarthas from us. Why? Because if those are removed, hey, maybe we become proud. Hey, man, I'm a great devotee. No lust, no anger, and become puffed up, become proud. So sometimes he'll keep those things there, just to humble us. So anyways, the point is we should not fall into illusion, and we should not become a plaything in the hands of a woman. Why? Because then we can't make any spiritual advancement. So the idea is we want to be a puppet in Krishna's hands, not a puppet in Maya's. So does anyone have any, yes? Yes, Bajranarayan Swami. No, I'm just joking, because Bajranarayan Swami, he raised his hand really quick. Yeah, that's true. I mean, in some ways, like you said about yourself, in some ways Krishna's like that too. Of course, it's good to follow as far as possible. It's good. It's, we have to try, But in some ways, yeah, like you said about yourself, Krishna's also like that, like I said, he hates that pride more than anything. So he'll accept some devotees. It's like, devotees are kind of struggling and kind of fallen, but if they're humble and if they're doing some service, then he actually accepts that. In Dwarka, for example, now of course, it's not clearly explained what exactly is all going on there, in full detail. But there's a few verses in the beginning cantos of the Bhagavatam, and it says that when Krishna was coming into Dwarka, everybody was greeting him, right? And then it said the prostitutes came out and greeted him too. And then the purport, Srila Prabhupada explains, the prostitutes were also devotees. And just somehow or other, due to karma or destiny, this and that, they just happen to be prostitutes. But they're devotees also. So, from any point of view, practically speaking, people would say, oh, prostitution, that's a degrading, profession. That's like one of the most degraded professions there is. But Krishna, it says, he accepted, they're coming out and offering flowers to him. They accepted that. Krishna accepted that. There's also, Prabhupada mentions on a morning walk in Juhu, he says that there was a great prostitute. I forgot her name. Prabhupada says great prostitute. I forgot her name. She says she's a great devotee. And Prabhupada said what she did is she built a big temple in Calcutta. And I went to that temple, actually. A devotee brought me to that temple. And he told me the story and how Prabhupada mentioned her. And it's interesting. The temple room, it's all made out of these really small little pieces of mirrors, Very decorative temple. But yeah, Prabhupada mentions her. She's a great devotee, and she just happened to be, by, somehow or other she was a prostitute, but she's a great devotee. So that's interesting. And as Prabhupada said, he said, of course, again, everybody's doing their best, but he said the brahmacharis shouldn't criticize the grihastas, and the grihastas shouldn't criticize the brahmacharis. And why is that? Because in this age, it's very difficult for anyone to follow, strictly. So yeah. Does anyone have any other questions, Joel? Our successes and failures. I mean, we're all born with certain, like, means in this body now. We're all born with particular types of conditioning, right? So, and we grow up. I mean, I grew up in a particular way, you know, and that's just how I grew up, and I can't go back and change that. You know, how my, you know, my dad trained me, or how my uncles trained me, or whatever they taught me, whatever my parents taught me, I can't go back and change that, you know. So we may find ourselves born in more fortunate situations or less fortunate situations. So throughout our life we have that conditioning, you know, and it is actually very difficult to overcome that conditioning from birth, that birth condition, and then all the way up, you know, all the conditioning we put ourselves in. It's very difficult to overcome that. I mean, I was thinking of it recently. It's almost like there's a, you know, you got a dog. It says if dog, usually their tails are curled. So if you try to straighten out a dog's tail, you know, then it will stay like, and then it'll go back. So people's condition is that, you know, they think certain ways, they act certain ways, and then to try to change that, you know, they work, and then they go back. They go back. So it's very difficult to overcome that. But it is possible. It is possible, but it is definitely going to take a lot of determination, a lot of, you know, prayer and determination and surrender and all that. So our failures do, obviously it comes from our conditioning, and our success, it comes from our conditioning. Means karma, yeah, what we've created for ourselves. But still we should try, because again, it's, you know, I mean, if Krishna sees, oh wow, this guy is like he's so conditioned, and, you know, he had a not so good birth, and, you know, not so good upbringing, and he's just so conditioned just to be a out and out, you know, rascal or debauchee or just low life. He's just conditioned, you know, this guy. And some people that look at him, man, I know that guy's past. That guy seems hopeless, you know. Or even, I know this guy right now. This guy seems hopeless. But if Krishna sees us endeavoring, then, oh wow, this is so, you know. In other words, he'll be happy. He'll be satisfied. Why? Because we are giving what we can. We're doing what we can. That's the point. We're doing what is within our ability at the particular time, and then later Krishna will give us more ability. That's the thing. So that's the idea. Yeah. All right. So now we will transcend. I mean, we will progress to the next stage of the program, which is Transcendental Prasadam on the patio, on the Transcendental patio here. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai.